Hi, and welcome to the lesson. We are continuing our review of iReady Grade 4 Math, page 24, Understanding Equivalent Fractions. I did a previous video on some of the basics of finding equivalent fractions, how if we multiply a fraction times another fraction that has the same numerator and denominator, we will get an equivalent fraction. And we talked about how a fraction that has the same numerator denominator is equal to 1. So you're multiplying by 1. Any number multiplied by 1 is that number. So the the first few were fairly straightforward. You just had to find whatever number would allow you to multiply your first fraction and come up with the equivalent numerator and denominator in the second fraction. After that, they make it a little bit trickier. But if you think about it, not that tricky. So if they've given you either the numerator or denominator in your second fraction, you know that the other number is going to be the same. I'm multiplying by 1, so if they give me thirds, I'm going to have, if they give me thirds in the denominator, I'm going to have thirds in the numerator. Similar to number 5, if I have 5 in the numerator, I'm going to have 5 in the denominator. And do the math on that. And also I showed you this page, apps.mathlearningcenter.org/fractions. You can make those fractions, line them up, and make sure that they are in fact equivalent as a way of checking your work. What I wanted to talk about in this one is some of these problems, especially starting with number 5, they're not quite as straightforward. Or I'm sorry, number 6, they're not quite as straightforward. So we know that they don't give us anything in our second fraction that we're multiplying by. They only give us one number in our final equivalent fraction. But we can work backwards pretty easily, and we know that 6 times 2 is going to equal 12. We're going from sixths to twelfths. So we know 6 times 2 is equal to 12. So we can fill in the denominator in our multiplier. And that will give us the numerator in the multiplier. So if we're multiplying 6 times 2, we're going to have to multiply the 5 times 2 as well. Nope. Sorry about that. I keep deleting. And then 5 times 2 is going to be 10 twelfths. And if we were to look at that, we can do 6 and twelfths. Okay, our first one was 5 6, so 1 2 3 4 5, and then 10 twelfths. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Oop, one too many. Let's go ahead and change the color on that so it shows up a little bit more easily. And then if we match those up, sure enough, our 5 6 is equivalent to 10 twelfths. So go ahead and take a look at the rest of those. You should be able to do those working backwards. Again, use the tools on this page if you need to. Think about what you're doing when you're converting fractions. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to me or to your homeroom teacher. Thanks for coming to the lesson.